Let me show you how I make these very simple nut-free banana muffins in the air fryer. You ready? Come on, let's do it. Now to start this recipe out, I like to use Crisco instead of butter. If you want to, you can use butter or half and half. I mix in my brown sugar. I wait to do the flour. Everything else goes in just as it's incorporated. So smush down the shortening, incorporate the sugar, add in your oats because this is a substitute for your nuts. If you're like me and you have someone who lives with you or you're packing lunches for your kids, you know most schools are nut-free zones. I can't even send nuts in my husband's lunch as a teacher. So this works out beautifully for me because it gives me time to sleep in the morning. He can grab one of these and go. I don't even have to cook. Now that we have that all prepped up and set to the side, we're gonna mix up our dry ingredients. So I'm gonna take all the spices and add them to the flour, stir them up pretty good. I used a clear cup just so you guys can see how the fork helps. A whisk in the bowl works perfectly. I just didn't want to do any extra dishes, so I did it like this. You do it your way, I'll do it mine. Now let's get started on the wet. First, I used 3 very, very ripe bananas and mushed them up with a cup of sugar. And then this doesn't take a rocket scientist and it doesn't take a whole lot of technique. Just get it mixed up. You'll notice as you mush the bananas, it'll get kind of soupy and it'll form a liquid for you anyway. So no muss, no fuss, just mix it up. Now I'm adding in a half cup of butter, and I really like European butter because it's so fatty and rich and delicious. And the more buttery you make this, I'm telling you, it'll read out in your muffins. So add the butter. If you want to skip the butter altogether, you can do that and add smart balance. To the butter, I just added vanilla extract and a little bit of butter extract. I told you I really want these to be decadent, so I went overboard. If you want to skip that part, you can. I added in my egg and make sure that that was mixed in well, but I don't want to over mix because I don't want to whip the egg. Once I feel confident that I have my egg mixture mixed in, then I add in my dry. Now, it's important not to overmix this because you don't want them to be tough. The folding method is really the trick to getting a nice light muffin. And since these are freezable, you really want them to stay light. You don't want them to be dense in the freezer because they won't thaw correctly. So once you get that all mixed up and incorporated, then you're ready for the next step. We are using the air fryer today for this recipe, but since I don't have any silicone baking cups available right now, and I'm using the paper cups, it's much easier for me to fill them while they sit inside of this calphalon pan. Much, much easier. Instead of them falling all over the place, it'll help them hold their shape. So I'm just gonna go through and use this double spooning method to fill the cups about a third of the way full. Listen, I don't even know if double spooning method is a thing, but it's gonna be today because it worked out perfectly, okay? So we're gonna fill up our cups however you need to fill them up, and then we'll add the topping onto this little guy. So this is about a tablespoon per, but if you want to go overboard, go ahead. I like it to be a little bit more chunky. That way I get a nice crunch on the top, and it has shortening in it. So just know that it's going to fry up on the top of that muffin. Now, let's load them into the air fryer. And this is kind of how I did it. I went around the perimeter. I wanted them to have each other to lean on for some support. Okay, so now that those are all loaded into the basket, you guys see that I'm using the fry basket with the pedestal on the bottom. I put the lid on and I go ahead and set up my machine. I am using the Instapot Duo Air Fryer Duo Crisp. I love this thing. I love this thing. I cannot get enough of it. I have made all types of stuff in it, And this is my first baking experiment, but this is how it turns out. Oh, they are so golden brown and crispy on the top. Hold on, I'll let you guys see. Look at that. And that's it. We just baked in our air fryer. 10 minutes, moist and delicious with those chunks of banana. And that's it, start to finish. It's about 15 minutes. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.